Okay, the next few minutes are going to be quite difficult for all of us. For me, because I really don't want to be here, and for you, because I'm going to ask you a pretty tough question at the end of this. How you're going to answer this question will always be yours, and that might be harder than you think. Anyway, why is it that I don't want to be here? It is because I belong at sea. I'm a seafarer, a captain, and my place are the oceans. I belong on board ships amongst my crews and the waves, in a world where my skills are useful and no one cares about me swearing like a sailor. But here I am, and I'm here to tell you that I and other volunteer seafarers may have to spend 20 years in prison for not leaving people to die. That's quite clearly not great for us, but actually, the situation is much more dire. I'm even more so here to tell you that solidarity with people in need is being made a crime in Europe. I was captain on board the search and rescue ship ЮВЕНТА, an NGO vessel with the purpose of saving people in maritime distress off the coast of Libya. People that are left with no choice but to risk their life across the central Mediterranean route to seek shelter in Europe. On my missions did I not only see people drown miserably, but also human rights violations being commonplace at Europe's doorstep. We witness what men, women, and children have to take upon themselves when they are denied safe and legal passage. How refugee boats in distress are being ignored by European warships, and how Libyan militias brutally kidnap people. We rescue people from unseaworthy, overcrowded boats and take them on board, sometimes too late. For days, I've motored up and down in international waters with a 2-year-old dead boy in the freezer, because no European country wanted to save him when he still had a chance, and they then denied us support of safety. His mother was also on board our ship, alive. What do I tell a traumatized woman whose child is in my freezer about the Nobel Peace Prize laureate European Union? How do the alleged values go together with a human-made catastrophe of this scale? The European Union has been fighting migration for years. It deliberately lets people drown, brands refugees and migrants as illegals, blocks NGO ships that are merely trying to save lives, and instead finances Libyan militias who on our behalf forcibly take people back to a country at civil war, where they're threatened with rape, torture, and death. That's the reality of Europe's external borders. As a result of the calculated foreclosure strategy, the Mediterranean remains the deadliest border in the world. And within Europe, here, solidarity with people in need is being criminalized. The non-profit foundation Open Democracy reveals that hundreds of people all across Europe have been arrested or criminalized in other ways for providing shelter, food, and other basic acts of human kindness to migrants. The sobering truth is that today it takes moral courage to show basic human decency in Europe, that it can be a felony to help people in need. We, solidary forces, are frowned upon and hindered in our work to stop our life-saving actions and to stop us being witness to these crimes against humanity. A couple of years ago, there were more than 10 NGO ships operating in the Mediterranean. Today, there's hardly any. Amongst those ships that have been stopped is the ЮВЕНТА. It has been seized almost 2 years ago without any proof of wrongdoings, yet it remains chained. A ship with which alone more than 14,000 people have been saved. Today, Italy is investigating us 10 members of the Juventa crew, at an unbelievable expenditure for the absurd allegation of aiding and abetting illegal immigration. In case of a conviction, we are threatened with up to 20 years imprisonment for saving lives. And this is why I'm here today and cannot be at sea, because I have to fear pre-trial detention if I rescue another person at sea. Yes, that's right. I could go to jail right away if I'd save a life. That of a refugee, that is. Nothing would happen to me if I'd save a European passport holder. This is where we're at. We, the Juventa 10, can expect indictment this winter. And we can also expect a year-long show trial that will not only consume our time, but also cost us at least 500,000 euros. This political and criminal charade will be accompanied by the continuation of public slander campaigns to further intimidate, harass, and deter the actions of human rights defenders. And with that, also further contribute to the stigmatization of refugees and migrants. And far more important than the harassment and legal hounding that we are subjected to is the fate of those that are completely deprived of their rights, those who continue to die every day as they're trying to reach safety in Europe. It is not for us to question the motives behind their search for refuge while their lives are in imminent danger. We simply did what had to be done, rescuing people where they can be rescued. Never should that be subject to a political discussion. Rescuing people at sea is... Rescuing people at sea is a duty, not just a right, and certainly not a crime. What is at stake in this investigation against the Juventa 10 goes beyond our personal freedom. When criminalization becomes a strategy, when solidarity is punished or its exercise impaired, then the freedom of all of us is at risk. The blatant consequences of the European walls-up policy do not only result in the political persecution of helpers, in the torture and death of thousands of refugees, but also lead us back to a society in which the life of one is worth less than that of the other, back to a Europe in which the inequality of people has perfidious system. In the upcoming month, again, thousands will try to escape the hell of Libya. The route via the sea is their only chance. If nothing happens right now, in only a few months, we will look back at many thousand dead again. I'm part of a generation that grew up asking their grandparents, "What did you do against it?" And I come to realize that I'm also part of the generation that will have to answer the very same question to their grandchildren. We will not be intimidated, and we will continue to fight for a world in which we want to live in, for a world in which everyone is given the chance to live. Heavy shit, right? How could you not feel overwhelmed, pushed in the corner by hearing all that and maybe think, what can one person do? Well, the good news is that we're not the first, not the only, and surely not the last people to stand in solidarity. And I happily quote the cultural anthropologist Margaret Mead here. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. We can create change. We can make a difference. And we did. For every single person that we've rescued, it was worth the effort, and we will do it all over again. Not despite knowing the consequences, but even more so because of that. We fought in and for solidarity at sea, and now we're taking on the legal battle. Solidarity is not a crime, and we will fight to prove it. What does solidarity actually mean? It means to act. Solidarity is nothing one can think. It needs to be done, and it's done at eyes level. As a person in solidarity, I do not need to make foreign problems, worries, or oppression my own. Solidarity means recognizing that all these problems are my very own from the beginning, no matter if the effects of it are noticeable in my everyday life or not. There is shit to do. Sometimes we can do things we enjoy to act in solidarity. Sometimes the battle is forced upon us. And sometimes we have to go out of our way, like giving a talk or fundraise €500,000 for legal defense. But either way, the choice to fight for solidarity is nothing but liberating and empowering. And as we're fighting on all these different fronts, we must have each other's backs. And so I'm asking you to stand in solidarity. I'm asking you to act in solidarity with refugees and migrants, in solidarity with all helpers and crews of the Civil Search and Rescue Fleet, and in solidarity with those that have to stand a political show trial. I'm well aware that not everyone can go out to sea and do what we did. But there are other ways. Enable us to win our case. Stand shoulder to search and rescue NGOs. Support refugees and migrants that are here. Find out what these people and organizations need and how you can help. It could be by doing something, by giving your time and skill, or by a donation. All these dreadful things I told you about today are someone's reality. It is thousands of people that have to endure this reality, as it is their lives. It might well be their death. For my whole time as an activist, one sentence by Swiss environmentalist Bruno Manza stuck with me and kept me going. He said, "Those who have understood and do not act have not understood after all." So here comes that moment where I'm going to ask you this painfully difficult question. Do you understand? You look like a bunch of very bright people in here. So I will presume that you do understand and that you will act in solidarity. Thank you.